Welcome back to PFD Auto. Today, we're going to be working on plugging some of the holes in this firewall. I got my heater core, I got my evaporator, and I got the blower motor for the AC system. So, we're going to get this piece cleaned up first, get it installed, start working from there. So as you can see, this isn't in the best shape. All this weather stripping is all wore out. Whatever foam this was is super crispy. Everything seems to be held together with rivets and clips. These guys here, I'm hoping are just little vents. They seem to be in pretty good shape, so we might just be able to reuse these. They're kind of soft. I don't think we'll be able to get them. I'm glad I held on to them. There's one of those on each side. So I think the first thing I need to do is just clean all this up and decide what needs to go back. Obviously, this weather stripping is necessary. Again, not sure about the foam, but we'll figure that out. Let's see how easy it is to get this off. Well, that's not bad at all. It almost appears as if you can just twist this guy. Pop it right out of there. There's definitely a pin here. It's controlling this mechanism that opens and closes this blend flap door, I'm guessing. All right, super crusty door out. I wonder if they make just a replacement for this altogether. This thing has seen better days. Those clips looking fine. This looks like now it could just use a good wash. Get some insulation popped back in here. Should be able to reinstall it. This is starting to look pretty good. Got this cleaned up. Got a lot of the rust out of it. I'm going to hit some of these spots with a little rust treater just so the rivets don't go bad after I stuff it back in the car. But this is where all the air comes in for your AC system. If you have the time and you've got this out, clean it up. It's definitely going to help the quality of the air inside the cabin. That said, I've got a couple more pieces of this guy to clean up. So I'm going to get on that. And then we'll put it back together and see how it looks. Well, we're getting a lot further. We've got a box. We've got all the pieces. It's even all stuck together. What we don't have is insulation. Saw me take all the insulation off the face of this. Well, got to put that back before we stick it back on the car. It is a lot cleaner on the inside, which will be nice in the future. But if we don't do the insulation, especially on pieces like these flaps aren't going to fully close and air is going to blow right by. And then you'll have cold air when you want heat and heat when you want cold air. And that's not very fun. So we're going to call it for today. When we come back, we'll have all the insulation we'll need. We'll go ahead, get this installed. It's been a few days, but I made it to the store. Got some insulation that I think will work. Not sure, but we're going to give it a shot. I'm in the fab shop today because, well, it's really windy outside and I don't think you'd be able to hear me if we were out front. It's a little shady, but I think you'll get the idea. We're going to trim this out. Also, finding a big flat piece of insulation for this, pretty tough. Considering using that butyl rubber that I put on the engine bay, but I think it's too heavy. My idea is we'll just trim the edge with some of this foam that we're going to use on here. See how it turns out. Should make the seal. Don't understand why all of it was insulated, but as long as it works, that's all I really care. Alright, so what I picked up here is just some old household weather stripping. This one in particular does narrow gaps. That's what we've got. 3/8 inch wide, 3/16 inch thick, and the length doesn't really matter as long as we have enough to get all the way around these trim pieces. Self-adhesive, so we're gonna just stick it on there, see how it goes. No real good place to start. So, we'll start at the top. That is looking pretty good. It's not really sticking down as well as I'd like it to. But when I bolt it up to the car, it should smash down pretty tight. Now this. I think my idea is to just trim around the edge of this whole thing. Both sides, just like it was covered before. So we'll leave this part open, which I don't know what that's going to do, but I know if I trim this side, it should seal. Well, this sure does not look fantastic. But honestly, I don't really care how it looks, as long as it seals up nicely. So we'll get this stuffed back in there. We'll also see, I think we need to add a piece of seal across here. We'll get all of these parts back in, and then we'll see if we can stuff this in the car. I really didn't like the way this came out when I just lined the edge. So I grabbed that butyl foam and I covered both sides. It's not cut out well, but what it does is seals very nicely on both sides. So I'm happy with that now. Time to get this thing installed back in the car. You can see I added this extra piece of foam here that I didn't before. And I think we are ready. So this is where we're going to end up with the box. I'd like to get it in there so we can cover up those holes since that tape isn't working at all anymore. Would have been real smart to get it in there while I had the engine out the other day, but we're going to make do. This is where the blower motor and everything's set. Really gotta get some of this out of the way before we can get this installed. I also went ahead and got brand new blower motor. I figured Wazzle, might as well just replace all of this stuff and make sure it works for the future. Now, I have no idea where this cord goes, but I'm not going to be able to get all this done today anyways. I just want to see if this guy fits, how we'll make it all work. Yeah, and I'm not entirely sure. Well, that sure seems like it goes right there. I'm guessing that gets fed into here somehow. I'm not quite sure. I do know that. Oh, I see. This goes down here. The cable comes out somewhere. There's this piece. Which I think I was supposed to stick in before I screwed it down. Let's unscrew it real quick. Yep, I think this whole device has to go in before any of that. And it goes in this way. Well, it looks like this whole giant box has to go in there. And I've got some new pieces. I've got a new heater core and I've got a new evaporator. So I've got to get this all apart to replace these pieces before we can even stick it back in there. You'd think I would have thought of that. But that just proves you haven't watched the old episodes. All right, let's get this on the bench and see if we can't get it tore down. So here we have the main AC control box. This goes inside the car, just blend flap doors, all kinds of fun stuff. But one of the evaporator radiator things that I need to replace is inside here. So we got to take this apart. I'm going to try to keep track of what I'm doing. Try to show you as much as I can of what I'm doing. There's definitely some foam we have to replace. But I'm going to tell you right now, I don't suggest that you do this. Hopefully we can get it all apart without taking all of these actioning pieces apart. But we're about to find out. All right, it looks like to split this case, it's again more of these clips. Looks like we need to take these off, which I'm not excited about. Then we can just take all the other little clips off and peel it apart. I'm not sure where to start, but I know these need to come off before any of the rest of them come off. So we're going to start right here. Kind of hoping I can get these apart and leave all of this linkage the way it is, because I'm not sure if it's specified to go back in a certain way. It's a good start. I think they're all the same size, so they're all going in the same pocket. That's why I put my finger on top of them, because then you don't fling them across. Some of these are pretty crusty looking. Hopefully we can clean them up. All right. Two halves. This half full of this trashed foam. Otherwise, looks to be in pretty good shape. But we'll probably want to pop this apart and replace this foam. But I don't have any of that foam. I used all of it last time. And we're going to have to take it all apart. But what we really came here for was this. It looks like a couple more Phillips head screws. It should pop right out. Look at that. The sun's even shining on me. Maybe this is looking up. Isn't that crusty looking? All right. Glad we're replacing this, whatever it is. Do any of y'all have neighbors that just let their dogs bark incessantly? I don't know why you would get a dog and just let it go in your backyard and bark all day. If you do that, sure your neighbors love you. All right, there's some crusty stuff in here. Another blend door of some sort, but this one has rubber on it. So we don't have to worry about that, but we do need to clean this thing up. It is disgusting in here. So let's do that real quick. Then we'll figure out where the foam needs to go on the new one. Get it put back together. All right. Old, new. If you can't tell the difference, maybe I need to get a better camera. But these things look mostly identical. The new one seems to be a little shorter. But the important thing that these ends all line up. And it does not look like it's long enough. It looks like this is also the wrong item. It did come with some foam, new screws, O-rings, all the good stuff. But if it doesn't fit in the box, then it's worthless. This is still soaking wet because I just washed it. But I want to try to stuff it in here and see if it's close enough. So the idea with this is that it... No idea which side goes where. So it does fit down in here, but it is tremendously loose. See if I can get you a shot of this. And I know the foam is to help with that, but if every time I turn the car it goes, it's not going to be acceptable. Let's try stuffing the old one back in and see if there's any difference. Yeah, this one fits perfectly tight. No wobble whatsoever. So, I think I'm going to get some part numbers and do some research. So I don't think any of this stuff's going to work. Well, as you just saw, none of those parts that I have are going to work. They're just not the right parts. We might be able to get that evaporator to work, but I really would like to get the correct one. I do not want that thing moving around or not fitting when I put it all back together. But now I've got some part numbers. I'm going to do some research, and hopefully the next time you see me working on this, we'll have all the correct parts. At least we have it cleaned up now. We've got most of the stuff refoamed and things. I'll work on that while I'm waiting on parts for stuff we took apart today. Then we'll be getting it back into the car. But I really don't want to put the original stuff back in the car because it's in a really bad spot. It's hard to get to. And I don't want to take it all apart again, especially since I've got it all taken apart right now. So that's going to bring us to the end of the episode. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. If you got any ideas on where I can get the right parts or how to make what I've got work, drop me a line in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, if you like watching my suffering, give it a like. Really appreciate it. We'll see you next time on PFD Auto.